Hello everyone, good morning or good afternoon. Today we're going to be looking at my song Squid Jazz. So, at the beginning, we're just going to jump right in. At the beginning we have this. Alright, so as you might have guessed, this is based on sort of 1930s, 40s jazz, sort of like speakeasy music where you'd have flapper girls dancing around. But that's what I took inspiration from anyway. So if we go into the first pattern, we have this ride cymbal. Very characteristic of that style of music, obviously. We have a kick. Just playing every count, and then we have the toms. Here's the pattern. You can see down here the velocity for each note. So if it's like, if this is higher, that means it's louder. And if I make it go lower, it'll be quieter, obviously. So you can see how that sort of sounds here with this. And then I have 3 notes here, just like a jazz, just like a sort of drum set would have. They have the 3 toms. There's the highest one, mid one, and then a low one. Just add some more realistic value to the drums. Put all those together, you got this. Then over here the piano comes in, which is introducing the piano as an instrument in the song. Playing this really neat little rhythmic lick that I came up with. It's basically just based off of the drum rhythm itself. So you can see a lot of notes where it's hitting on the same note as the kick drum. And right here's a little offset to keep the rhythm interesting instead of boring like this. So this just makes it a little bit more interesting when you have some rhythmic variety. And then of course, anything that repeats is repetition, which then is, humans like that. It sounds nice to the ear when something happens again. And it just happens one more time before we go into this little piano solo. Nice little trill here, and then we get right into the main part of the song that starts off with the saxophone coming in. You can also hear that I added this acoustic upright bass, which is very common in that style of music, of course. So I'm just control up and down to change the octave of those. And just previously, as I showed before, the tom drums had this, and every other instrument that you input into FL Studio has this capability as well. Most DAWs do. The default for me is 80% where the velocity is. If I need something a little louder, they give you a little headroom here, but usually everything starts at 80%. You can see that the bass drum is actually doing the same that the piano was a little bit ago. Repetition, repetition. People really like repetition in sneaky little ways in your music if you can put that in there. You can see I have some more variation on the volume here in order to give it a more realistic sound, so it just doesn't sound like a robot playing the saxophone. Alright, so the main melody here is this. Everything else is based off of that. You see this shape here? It mimics this. This is called a motif. And in this song, I use the motif in many different ways. Like a bunch of my other songs, I establish a motif in the beginning, and then I make variations on it and interesting rhythmic and melodic sort of counterpoints to each other to achieve what we call music. So as you can, once I point this out, you see it a lot everywhere. And it's just sort of trying to get creative with that motif. So we have a new instrument that comes in here. I'm not sure what you would call that. It's a synth, obviously, but to me it sounded kind of went like a squid. If a squid could talk, I think it would sound something silly like that in a cartoon. But anyway, you can hear this next part, how it integrates into the jazz part. You can hear how they're sort of soloing off of each other, as if like a squid and a sax player are like playing a duet. They kind of take turns playing. And I have the squid instrument panned to the right, and I have the saxophone instrument panned to the left, in order to further show that there's like a duet or like a battle between two different things musically. So now we have this part. There's sort of a breakdown to bring back the drums, add some variety with this new synth that I put in, which is sort of like it sounds a lot like the Squid synth, but a lot more ambient, just giving new tones for the listener to hear. It's a crash cymbal right there and there. So this is a new motif being established right here. Just much like the other one that I showed you, where it's sort of this shape. Instead of that, we have this. Right there, that's it. You can see that repeats over here. Some extra harmony on those last three notes, just to give it some extra sort of variety and beef as opposed to this part. That again returns in the end of this phrase to the harmony getting beefed up. And if you listen very closely, you can hear the old piano riff from the beginning of the song. Here, I'll turn the piano part up for you so you can hear it. But yeah. Let me get that back to where it was. And then right here we have sort of it's a very subtle but very fun little trill in there. I turn it up so you can hear it more. Now you will realize that the synth is coming back to duet with the sax again at the end of this part. And then it loops right there. How are we doing on time? All right, very close to 10 minutes actually. So this part right here, if you listen to the melody, is a sort of sibling of this part. But like I said, I like to remix the motif in as many ways as I can to make it interesting for the reader, but also give them something that they can latch onto that they have heard before in the song. So you add complexity and variety in the song, but you keep your listener by keeping it attached to that motif that you established earlier in the song. So that's the kind of it's very thought-provoking for the listener when they listen to all these different ways that you can mangle these these notes or this pattern that you created for them at the beginning. And in this part, I'm actually laying two motifs on top of each other with the piano and the second motif that I have established in the song. And then that leads to this big shebang right here that goes right back into the beginning of the song to loop it out. It's a very, very nice way to wrap everything up, I think. So yeah, that's Squid Jazz. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I know this is one of my more popular songs, so I hope that you got a lot out of this lesson, I guess you would say, and I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. Please leave in the comments any comments about how I handled things, or if I talk too fast, or just anything that I can do to improve the video format for you guys. Alright, thanks. See you in the next one.